don't know if I'm on it or not.
Well, just make sure you know where the mute button is, and or they'll be able to hear you. Yeah, make sure that they're not able to see you.
Well, I did the video where it doesn't see me. I certainly don't want anyone looking at me.
Well, I'm just sitting there eating breakfast, and
Yeah.
yeah, well, yeah.
I don't know if I'll start talking or what.
Well, it's not quite 10:30.
So far, it says I'm the only participant. They don't have good participation. I wonder if I click start, but if they do start video, then it shines it on me, doesn't it?
Oh,
Look at this and see if you can tell.
that covers up the camera.
It says Lenda Wagner is connecting.
There you go.
Good morning, guys. Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me?
I can.
Good. Scared me there for a minute.
Can you see if I need to do something to hear her talk? She's talking in there.
Jawanda, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, I can. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Can't complain.
Good, good. Wouldn't do any good anyway.
Oh, no, ma'am, it would not.
Peggy, can you hear me?
I can.
Hey, Ann,
I'm sorry.
I was
Oh.
talking to Ann, see if
Okay.
she can hear me. Kenny, you there? Hey, Ray,
Morning.
how are you?
I'm well.
Good.
How you doing?
I'm good, good.
Will share some wisdom with us this morning?
Well, I don't know about wisdom, but we'll try to figure out. We'll give it a few more minutes, let
Okay.
a few more come in. So we'll give it a
Yeah, that's perfect. Give me a little time to get my drink together.
yeah.
How's Peggy doing?
I'm doing great.
Still at
How
the
about you?
I'm doing well.
Good.
Hi, Chris.
Howdy, howdy.
Is Eric in today?
Yeah, Eric's here. I had to think about it for a second. Eric made me log in, so
Okay, good.
at least somebody's on my rear end about, doing stuff. So. Count on Eric.
Heavens for him.
Yes, definitely.
Chris has an alternate personality at Eric. We depend on Eric a lot to get things done.
Whip Chris into shape. It's really weird how you said that, an alternate ego. It just makes me sound like I've got an alternate personality.
I don't know, maybe.
Well, I guess I got to quit drinking in the morning, but margaritas are really good at 10:30 in the morning.
Right.
Or Bloody Marys.
Yeah.
Mm.
Uh,
Go to Metro Diner on 280. They have $3 Bloody Marys.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah, they have good lunch and breakfast.
I hate that they closed the one in Vestavia.
Yeah. Joel's talking about the meat and three.
No, I mean, there was a Metro Diner in Vestavia.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah. I only got to eat there one time. I mean, I know they got, 280 location. I think they even got Trustful, but I hate that they shut the one down in Vestavia.
They're on
Yeah.
Valleydale too.
Oh, wait.
Pinky.
hey, Pinky.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Hey, Teresa.
Good morning.
Okay, well, I guess we can go ahead and get started. I think the main thing I want to do today is just talk about some things I see in Brokermint, paperwork wise, just situations that I come across that may, this may be helpful you, next time you encounter the situation. But interestingly, this week we had two of our very good agents had the same issue, and it was dual agency versus transaction broker. They actually filled out the limited consensual agency and the transaction broker agreement and the buyer's agency. And they had a list. So we had all kinds of. Can anybody tell me the difference between dual agency and transaction broker? Anybody?
Representing both of them?
Well, dual, you're representing, or not, you're helping two parties. And transaction broker, you're,
You're not an agent.
yeah. Transaction broker, well, you're helping just one party.
Right, basically, it's client versus customer. Think about it that way. You have you can recommend things, and have confidential information if client, customer as transaction broker situation. You cannot have confidential information. You're basically a paper pusher. But in those, pardon?
Linda, you're in and out, your audio, at least
Yeah.
it's coming to
Yeah.
me.
Everybody?
Yes.
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 Can hear you.
Lovely. I don't know what I can do about that either.
Put your tinfoil hat on.
That's it. I think I had this problem before. Let me just look at something. Audrey, have I been having this problem when I talk with you on these?
No, I haven't. And I can hear you pretty well. It's just occasionally it kind of goes out for a second, but I can make out what you're saying most of the time.
Well, let's just move forward and hopefully
Okay.
be okay. Where was I? Transaction broker. You're basically just a paper pusher. But in this situation, we had already signed the buyer's agency agreement. So I just didn't feel like we could step back to a transaction broker situation. So we voided the transaction broker agreement and had to stick with the full agency relationship on that. So, but we had all the paperwork done, which probably most of the public doesn't even realize, but as a broker, it kind of threw me a bit. Can you have a dual agency without you representing both people?
Yes.
Good. Yeah. If an agent in my office and an agent in the Gulf office, if they are working on the same transaction, do I need a dual agency on that?
Yeah.
Yes. Because you're all of that. The buyer's agency agreement, I've been seeing most people do not put an end date on the buyer's agency agreement. We need to start doing that. Either that or a specific property, either one.
Say that again, please.
On the buyer's agency agreement, there is a line in there that gives the expiration of the buyer's agency. We need to either fill that in, or it needs to be property specific. That makes sense?
Absolutely should do that, because they can bail out on you if you don't.
Right. It's just good to have that end date, and if you take longer, you can always extend it. But every contract should have an end date.
Hey, Linda,
Yes.
sorry, you get through with that thought, but I'd like to go back to the first,
Okay.
and just make sure the best way to do it is you have a dual agency and just void the transaction broker because you had a buyer agency agreement already in place.
Right, because you had already established agency, so I didn't think we could back up on that.
Okay. And review, if you would, and you may have this on your agenda, if you have a listing and a buyer from the outside world comes in not represented, what's the company's position on that?
Well,
Again, the dual agency type thing.
well, it's my belief. It's, I don't know if anybody else believes this or not, but I just do not believe you can pull off an agency relationship with two transactions. I just think it's just about impossible. Most agents I know talk too much anyway. So including myself. So it would be ideal if you can be a agency with your listing. You already have an agency relationship there. If on the buyer, you can do a transaction broker agreement on that side, that's perfect.
Okay.
Now, what needs to happen though is you really need to disclose to your buyer what that means, that they don't have that confidential recommending style relationship, that you're basically just taking orders. So, and if they're uncomfortable with that, then refer them to somebody else in the company. At least get a referral fee. But I think they deserve to know what that means.
I was thinking when you had a dual agency agreement that kind of converts, because we have a document to sign and by both parties. And I thought that basically, and what I usually tell, I hadn't had one of these in a while, but you tell them is that basically I can't consult with either party. I can help either party with the paperwork and so forth, but my main objective is not to hurt any party's bargaining position.
That is correct. That is correct. That is the purpose of the dual agency.
Okay, but if I have that document signed and I had signed a buyer agency agreement at the listing agreement, then does that void the agency agreement? I guess I could write on the dual agency agreement that the buyer agency agreement is no longer in effect.
Well, that's what the dual agency form basically does. It re-outlines what that. You still have an agency relationship. You just have to be very careful not to hurt either party.
Okay. I mean, I know early in my career in the early 2000s, 30% of my listings were MEOPs. And it's nothing like that now, but it's kind of, we're really aware of buyers agents, but
Yeah.
I don't think I could hit that number unfortunately now, but okay. That's great. I appreciate you answering that.
Hey, no problem. Anybody else have any questions about it?
I had the last close I think I had was or contract I had was I had a listing with a client, and then the lady that wrote the contract to buy the property, she is just finishing up real estate school, and so I said, I explained all that to her, and she says, no, just go ahead and represent them. I'm already finishing, almost just have to take my test on real estate school. So I just made her, I did a dual agency on both of that. Did I do that right?
Well, you probably should have made her a transaction broker situation.
That was sort of confusing because she said, no, I'm fine with whatever you're doing, and she says, I know I'm really been in real estate for a long time, and I just now, all I have to do is finish my test. And that's what she said. So that's where I was. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Anytime you can do a transaction broker agreement with a buyer, you're in better shape, as that agency relationship. sued.
Okay, I got you. Thank you so much. That makes sense now. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. The RECAD, does RECAD establish relationships?
No, it just defines what the different relationships are.
Correct. We have a lot of people that check things off on a RECAD, and I've been in trainings and I'm listening to agents talk about the RECAD, and it's like they think that is what establishes the relationship, but it does not. It is just a disclosure. It is educate the public. It's all it's.
You're in and out now.
Yeah,
Darn.
every other word.
No.
It's good now.
Okay. Did you get the RECAD explanation?
Say again, please.
The RECAD does not establish any kind of relationship. It is just to educate the public. It's disclosure. Just an education tool to the public. Did that come out?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I've been noticing the net sheets. Some of them, they all need to have the contract price associated with net sheet. If an auditor walks in, they're going to look at a net sheet and wonder what contract price. If you've negotiated 2 or 3 times on a contract, you've got 3 different prices. That number has to be associated with that net sheet, so that we prove that you have a net sheet each negotiated price.
Can you have one net sheet with 3 different sales prices on it?
You can. You can. Just at the top of that column on ours that has the separate columns, just make sure that the sales price that's associated with those numbers.
Okay, you said we can, right?
Yes.
Of course, I use a different net sheet. I don't know if that's a no, but.
No, it's fine. Net sheet, you can write a net sheet on a NAP.
Oh, okay.
Just as long as it's disclosed.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. Lead-based paint. I bring this up every time. It's a disclosure too. And the seller should always, always, always sign first, or it's not a disclosure. You can't disclose after the fact.
I missed that. You said that they always have to sign the lead-based paint
First,
before.
before the buyer.
Oh, okay.
A lot of listing agents will get you one at the time of, whatever, closing or whatever.
Yeah, right.
So I guess you got to keep hounding them.
Yes, because that is not regulated by the state commission. It is regulated by the FDA. So the federal government is involved in that.
Ooh, I don't want to mess with that.
And if a buyer signs before a seller, it can be an $11,000 fine.
Whoa.
So keep that in mind. And just bug the listing agent for that form before, don't have your buyer sign one and hand it.
Wow, $10,000 fine. I'm glad you told me that.
Yeah, it's big. It's big. In fact, I think Realty South got audited by the federal government a couple of years ago. Good. On their lead-based paint. So I never heard what happened.
Linda, I think that from what I understand about it, and when I've called a couple of times and been in classes, that lead-based paint is supposed to be signed by the sellers when you take the listing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's when they come in that they're looking at to make sure that it was signed and initialed and dated by the agent, the listing agent, and the sellers when you take the
Yes.
listing to let them know that, you know, it's a lead-based paint house.
That's correct. That is correct.
And you're right. People have been dinged at $10,000 and $11,000 just, and there was one got dinged because the listing agent didn't have her signature on that page.
Yeah. Yeah. So make sure we sign those. Make sure we sign.
Linda, can I add something about the lead-based paint disclosure
ma'am.
when you represent a buyer? I think I make it a practice whenever I send the electronic pamphlet over to the purchaser for them to read, that they send me an email back acknowledging receipt, because we open ourselves up to a great deal of responsibility when we represent a buyer. So trusting and verifying, like, I sent it to you, but I need you to verify that you've received it, because I don't need you to come back and say, you don't know what I'm talking about, when the pamphlet, how to protect your home from lead-based paint or lead-based paint hazard. So that's been a practice that I've done forever, just because of the liability associated. It's higher to me when you represent a buyer than that of a seller.
That's a great practice. I worry that a lot of people don't even send that pamphlet, but they have their buyer sign off on it, that they received it. So how many do send that pamphlet?
Used to.
We get lazy.
When it was a pamphlet, I used to do it, but yeah, I'll talk to them about it and tell them that I'll be happy to email you one, but I think it's better to, cover yourself.
Yes, absolutely. That's a great idea.
Linda, have you touched on coming soon rules yet?
I sent that email out last week on my broker note. Did everybody get that?
Yes.
I just wanted to touch on something that happened to me about 2.5 weeks ago. And it's interesting that you came along and sent that. I had a listing coming soon that was over in Hoover. And I was going to make it active on February 21st. And we started having a lot of calls on the house, agents begging me to let them in. And of course I said no. Then I had an agent call me up and ask, could they get in? And I told him no. And he was very persistent with me. And I told him there was a $500 fine if I let him go into the house on me and my broker. And he said he would pay my fine if I would let him go in.
Yeah, right.
Then I said, then he came back and said, I want to go ahead and send you an offer on the house, and you date it for February 21st, the day that the house becomes active. And I told him, no, I don't believe I need to be doing that. And so I went back to my clients and I told them, and they said, no, I want him to come in and look at the house. He can wait till the 21st. Well, after I kept having all the calls, I talked to my clients and they decided, let's go ahead and get it active. That was on a Sunday, so we made it active on a Thursday. On Sunday night, I emailed that agent back and said, hey, the home is going to go active on Thursday. Go ahead and make an appointment to see it. I've already got some people that now want to, have already scheduled showings. I never heard back from him. I think that was a setup, trying to see if I would let somebody get in there so we'd be fined.
Yeah, you got to watch that. You got to watch
He
that.
never, ever scheduled an appointment to come see that house, but he wanted to pay our fines if I let him in, and he wanted to send me an offer and that I was to date it for February 21st. I never heard from him again when I told him it was going active.
It's okay for him to send you an offer, but it's up to your seller as to whether they want to even look at it until it goes live. I mean, it's seller's house.
But he wanted to leave it and not date it and wanted me to date it
Yeah.
on February 21st.
No. No.
And I told him no.
I really hate coming
So
soon.
I think that they're out there. I think that was a setup to see if I would let somebody get in and then they were going to report us.
Yeah, exactly. They're out there. I'm telling you.
Did you know this agent personally? Or know that this is really an
No,
agent?
I
Because they
never
send
looked his name
testers
up,
out.
but he ended up he ended up texting me. Well, he ended up calling me, and evidently I didn't hear my call, so he texted me, and then he and I text back and forth, but I never even looked him up on the MLS.
Okay. I mean, the reason I ask, because there's testers that go do these things
Yes.
that are sent out.
What else?
Yes.
I just thought it was really strange that he agreed to pay $1,000 fine if
Yeah.
I'd let him go in the house.
We know agents are greedier than that.
Yeah, that's right.
$1,000 fine if I would let him go ahead and go in the house.
You did the right thing.
Linda, I heard you say you don't. Linda, I heard you say you don't like coming soons. It's Carolyn. I don't like them either because they're just really no purpose to them.
Well, we legalized the pocket listing is what we've done. That's all we've done, and it's been more confusing to me than it's worth.
Yeah, I don't use them. I don't see what the point is of my phone starting to be bombarded 4 days, 3 days, 2 days, 1 day before the listing's active. It doesn't matter.
It's more
I'm
work.
busy enough when it goes active.
Right. It's just more work.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. What else was I talk about? On the listing, and I'm bringing this up because it happens sometimes. It's not a common thing, but the data sheet that we fill out when we go to a listing appointment, those are actually part of the listing agreement. Every once in a while, I have somebody who doesn't fill those out, but the listing agreement says those sheets are part of the contract. So make sure you're aware of that.
Say again, please.
Just want to make sure that everybody knows that those data sheets are part of the listing agreement.
Right.
Yeah.
And the last part was, well, I mean, like mine are incomplete because a lot of information on that is redundant. I mean,
well, as long as your seller is signing it,
okay,
I'm fine. But the main things, you want their initials on the lead-based paint, on septic versus sewer,
right,
and your bill. You need those things signed or initials, and then signed. Let's see. I was going to bring up the contract information sheet. I know a lot of people don't like that sheet either because it's more paperwork, but I just want to tell you why we like it. If something happened to somebody, they got COVID, for heaven's sake, anything, we would have that sheet to go to pick your business up and keep your deals going. That's the only reason we like it. Well, there's another reason. If you send that to your closing attorney or your closer, then they know who to contact for everything they need. So that's why we like that form. I know a lot of people like to put it out, but I just encourage you to use it. Let's see. Anybody have any questions about that?
No.
In Brokermint, and I'm gonna share my screen real quick. I need for everybody to go in and set a notification up. What this is gonna do, it's gonna alert you if I do something to change one of the transactions. If I reject a net sheet, it's going to send you an email. I think this is going to be helpful, especially if you don't realize something's been rejected and you close and your payment's delayed. So I want to make sure that we get you notified of anything like that on your file. So I'm going to share my screen and go to Brokermint quick. Okay. Let's see, where am I? All right, if you're in Brokermint, you'll go down to notifications and then go down to my task change and turn that on. Everybody see that? This is going to notify you if I reject something or if I create a new task for you. Maybe you needed another net sheet, so I created another task. It's going to alert you. Now, if you go in and you look at your transactions and they're red like this, there's something wrong. You may be late on a document, which is not a big deal. One document for there, or you may not need that document. You just need to exempt it. So just look at those. If it's a listing and it's expired, you need to cancel it. Everybody know how to do that? Pick something.
Yes.
You can go to edit and cancel that transaction if it's something expired or fell through. If it fell through. Submitting your documents. Submit documents as you upload them.
Excuse me, Linda.
Yes.
You said to, I'm sorry, I was late getting in Brokermint. I'm in Brokermint. You said on the notifications, turn on which one?
Go down to the one that says My Task Change.
My task, okay.
And turn that on.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. If you submit your documents as you upload them, it will give you a chance if there is a rejected document or something like that, you have time to fix it. I'm seeing a lot of people submit everything when they close. And if I reject something and you don't know it, that could delay your payment.
Okay.
And if you look at my approved screen, I worked last night to clean it out some, but I have 400 documents I have to look at. On paydays, I go in and I look for the ones. Can I move this? I look for the ones that are closing. I look at that closing, and that's the ones I target first. So having said that, make sure you maintain your data in Brokermint. If it's a pending contract, make sure it doesn't say listing. And make sure if you change a closing date, change it in Brokermint. Because this right here is how I find people close. The other way I find how I know people close is let me is checking this right here. If you check that box right there, that sends me an email. So we want to do everything we can to make sure I don't overlook when you have a closing. That's very important. You get your money on time. If I reject the document, it's going to be explanation. It's going to be right here in the comments. Because I have to give you a reason that I reject it. So anytime you have one, look at those comments, and I think you'll know what to do. Likewise, if you exempt a form, and I would appreciate everybody to exempt everything that you don't need. Don't leave open tasks in there, because that's what turns your transaction to the red. So exempt anything that you don't need. But I would appreciate very much having a reason on lead-based paint, and just give me the year it was built. If there's repairs or not. If you exempt the repair addendum, just say there were no repairs requested. Earnest money. Just let me know no earnest money was required. Other than that, I'm okay. But those three are. I think that's the main things that catch my attention. Is there anything? Is there anything that you guys have questions on anything that we've talked about, or anything, anything that?
I do have a question, Linda.
Okay.
So like, for instance, I've had several situations where the repairs, there had not been enough meeting of the minds on the requested repairs, more likely from the purchaser, when I represent the purchaser, because the seller's having to get estimates and all that stuff. So it's been a situation where it's actually turned red, and I tried to go in Brokermint and put in a comment and hit enter. Do you receive that, or in those situations, should I just send an email?
I don't worry about that too much.
Okay.
I really don't look at the whole transaction, or at the transaction as a whole, until you close.
Okay.
And then I go in and really look at the parts, but that does not concern me at all.
Okay.
Anything else? What I'd like for everybody to do is to email me any situation that you've been in that that kind of threw you off, or was a legal situation that had to get broker involved. And I'd like to have another one of these where we discuss these issues and determine what we would do in this situation. I think it would be good practice to hear of these situations and what actions. Also, send me any training suggestions, anything that you feel like we need to do, send those to me via email. We will see what we can do. Is there any other questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Well, thank you all for coming. I appreciate it. It's good to see everybody out there.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Linda.
We'll talk to you guys later.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Okay. Call me if you need me.
Bye.
Thank you.
Come on, not leaving.
Hey, Brenda Malone, this is Ed. Give me a call, please. Hey, Brenda, this is Ed. Give me a call, please. Thanks. Bye.
Well, okay. For some reason, the phone won't go well. Ed, you still on there?